Here's my face again. I cannot help but to laugh because, as some of you know, I was on here and no one could hear me. And the topic that I'm talking about in terms of being a recovering perfectionist, I was tested in that right when I have finished this video. So the innate perfectionist in me, realizing that the video wasn't live, it was tempting for me to panic just a smidge or feel defeated, disappointed. But this is where you walk the talk. So here I am, part two again, and I'm a recovering perfectionist. So thanks for hanging out with me again here because it's super important on this. Speaking about this topic. So, okay, ultimately, I wanted to come on here because I realized that I am a perfectionist. Well, I was a perfectionist. I didn't even know that that was a thing until I had a great conversation with a colleague of mine who said, "Yeah, I'm a recovering perfectionist." And I was like, "Dang, girl, I think I'm right there with you." And I was. So I'm just being completely transparent here. And if you don't mind, I don't mind. But what's the exciting and the relieving part in all of this is that it gives me plenty of opportunity to reflect on my journey and then celebrate and continue to grow leaps and bounds of how I even got entrapped in this in the first place. So, why didn't I see it? How come I didn't know I was a perfectionist? What were my blind spots that weren't um, clear on it? Well, before I get to that, I'm going to get into how I realized that I was a perfectionist. Sorry, bro. I was trying to post this on Instagram, but that's not working. So I have to do that separately. Okay. So, how did I even realize that I was a perfectionist? Again, being on the other end of it, and I'll get into that in just a minute. For one thing, I felt like, and maybe you can relate, I felt like I couldn't make a mistake at all, that there was a no fail option. I couldn't fail, which is a bit of catastrophizing. In a way, it was steeped in a little bit of faith of like, you don't have a plan B or option B. You do the thing and you're going to work with all your heart and throw all your skills and talents and all that good stuff at it. Love it. Great. Want more of it. But when you feel like I can't make a mistake, I can't. And I have felt like that for a long time. And it for you who can relate, maybe it's because you made a mistake in the past and it cost you a lot, or you've seen other people make mistakes and you're like, "Ooh, I don't want to be them." And I've experienced both of those where I'm like, I literally cannot make a mistake. Um, I- there's something I had been dealing with for a while where I'm like, dang, I made this one mistake when I was 19 and I'm still paying for it. But that started to leak over in other areas of my life where I just felt like if I make a mistake, the consequences are going to be so heavy and burdensome that I'm not going to be not be able to get out of it. So realizing that now on the other side of it was one way. I didn't allow myself to rest without feeling guilty. Where I'm like, no, I can't go to bed early. No, no, no. I've got to stay up all the hours and do all the things in the hours. But realistically, your day needs an end date. Your mind needs an end date to be able to shut off. And I didn't allow myself to do that without feeling like, oh gosh, how much further behind am I going to make myself by taking time out to rest, even my brain to think or whatever. And then the third thing that helped me to realize that I was a perfectionist is that is that actually whispers from baby boomers in my family specifically who would say, "Well, girl, you know, you're a little hard on yourself." And I would say, they don't know what they're talking about. They're not in my lane. They don't know what it's like to be a millennial. So, although I would graciously thank them, thank you for your concern. Thank you for telling me I need to go rest or sit down somewhere or I'm doing too much. Thank you very kindly. But no, I'm not. I'm going after the goal. I'm chasing the dream. But get after that conversation with my colleague who We both became master axiologists together. Those thoughts or those conversations started coming back to me from these family members. That was like, well, you are really hard on yourself. So once I put the equation together, I was like, oh, I'm a perfectionist, or I was a perfectionist. So how come I didn't see it? Why didn't I know this all of this time? Right. Um, well, for one, I thought perfectionists were a certain type of personality, to be honest. I thought it was just like type A people or folks who were super direct or neurotic. I thought that was synonymous with being a perfectionist. It comes come to find out that's not true. I also what blinded me is that I was very abundant with handing out grace to other people, to everybody, and admittedly too much grace in some aspects where people took too much from it. And I didn't realize I wasn't extending that same grace to myself. So when you're handing out buckets and boatloads of grace, like, it's okay, it's no problem, you'll get up next time or whatever. And if you know me, I'm an eternal optimist. So it doesn't matter what happened or what's happening, I'm going to reframe that thing and then walk in that direction. But even an optimist like myself, it can be hard to turn that inward. Now, I don't have negative self talk, so it's not that kind of thing. It's not like I don't feel like I can ever get out of something. But when you don't have that, you think, well, I'm okay, right? I don't have control issues or whatever. But you can still not give yourself grace from a place of insecurity, from a place of FOMO, feeling like you got to catch up. And then the other thing that blinded me from not realizing that I was a perfectionist was I'm not critical of other people. Like I said, I'm the person that's going to give you what you need, whether it's a positive kick in the pants, or if it's a hug, or if it's an encouraging word, whatever. I believe in constructive criticism and supporting people that way. So I thought because I wasn't a critical person, that there was no way that I could be a perfectionist. But on the other hand of that, I was critical of myself, not in the terms of self talk, but in terms of the rigidness of my schedule. Well, I just didn't leave room for things because I felt like I got to get this right. I've got to do this. I've got to conquer generational curses. I've got to overcome or whatever the heck. But there was such tight boundaries I put on myself where I couldn't rest, where I didn't have time to think, where I didn't even leave time for like social life because I just didn't feel like there was room. So it came out in other ways. So if you find yourself being like tired or exhausted or burnt out and you are an optimist like myself, look for other ways that this sense of perfectionism that's lodged into your subconscious is leaking out in other areas of your life. So that's how come I couldn't see it. But prayerfully and graciously being on the other side of it, I realized what I was already going through a journey, and I didn't realize that's where I was, but going through a journey of giving up control. There's so many things in life that we don't have control over, that we just need to surrender to it. Not that we don't have accountability for ourselves and holding other people in our lives accountable, but to say, I'm good enough right now. I've done my best. And I'm going to trust that what I've sowed into whatever I've done is going to create a pathway for me, no matter what the environment is doing, no matter what my friends and family is doing, no matter what my money is doing, what the economy is doing. But I had to learn to give up control and be okay with it. And that for me, the control was this sense of I'm trying to still go back and rectify a mistake I made. But we don't have to do that, right? And I also look back and think of times I've tripped and fall or fell, or times I've messed up. I'm here talking to you today. I'm in my right mind. I'm able to still smile. So me giving up control just creates more of this. So being on the other side allows me to do that more organically. Being able to appreciate my gifts and my talents and my quirks and my experience right now. I think a lot of us, and I'm calling out the millennials, it's the dangling carrot syndrome, right? When I get here, I'll feel like this. When I get here, I'll be able to achieve that. Or when I get it's chasing after something for you to feel good about what you have right now. Or to feel like I got to get more education. I got to learn all of the things to get to the place. But there is benefits to just being in the present and being like, you did good. Even if it's something as simply as handling conflict, you handled that well today. And that being enough. And I'm noticing I've been doing that lately. And if you follow me on Instagram, I posted about my failed attempt to the Hollywood sign, but still resting and appreciating the quirks of the fact that I'm deathly terrified of heights instead of the old me that was operating in the sense of perfection would have been like, you didn't do it. Well, you should have. I took all of that pressure off of myself. So I'm able to walk in my most authentic place of where I am right now. And then the other great thing about being on the other side of perfectionism is embracing your humanness and realizing that if I make a left when I was supposed to make a right, that is not going to ruin what I've done thus far. It's not going to ruin my progress. And as long as I stay true to my purpose and the folks that I'm called to serve, that's also on my team to help usher me through the mistake or through the plan that didn't go as planned ultimately. And with that, I can say I'm a lot more bold. I can laugh at my hiccups now and look around me and see who's laughing with me and not laughing at me. So that's just my testament of being on the other side of being a perfectionist, but also realizing it's kind of a constant journey where I have to go back and combat my routines or those thoughts of like you can't rest. And when I say thoughts, I don't mean the conscious ones, the things that are buried deep in your subconscious, but bucking against that a little bit so that you can walk very proudly and strongly in the authenticity of everything that makes you you, and trust where you are right now is where you are supposed to be, despite if it seems like everybody else is flying past you, or you feel like maybe how you came into this world, some of your family dynamics have held you back. You are a whole and complete person, whether you realize it or not. And that alone means you're equipped to deal with whatever you're facing today, right now. And you don't have to reach so far into the future in order to make it make sense today, if that makes sense. And especially for my leaders, we have a lot of pressure on us to do well, to change economies and change generations. But you are going to get it right all the time. It's okay for you to trip and fall and make a mistake and even do it in front of people, as long as you can say, I'm still walking in my purpose, my progress still matters, and we're all human beings, so nobody has the right to point fingers and look down on anybody else. So that's all I got. Thank you for hanging with me again today, despite my little goof there. But this is what it looks like to bounce back when stuff doesn't go your way, ultimately. So if you find that this content resonated with you, check out my other YouTube videos on professional development. I think you'll find them helpful. Or if it's career growth or whatever it is, it's all there for you. And as always, to continue to engage with everything that I got and that I'm pouring out, check out my website at www.upwardlypavedpath.com and let me know your biggest takeaway from this video. So, I mean, don't leave me out here by myself. If you can relate to say, yeah, I've been a perfectionist, I've been in that seat, or I'm there now, let me know what that looks like to walk that out every day. And then I will see y'all in the next video. It might be a crumble video. It might